Hi, welcome to the Ambient iPad. Let's make some music. For this jam, I'm going to use a couple of the M400 saxophones, Alto Sax, and two Saxes. The signal chain is the Mellotron M4000D Mini. Its master mono analog output goes into a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8 interface, which connects back and forth with the iPad Pro through a USB-C hub that also lets me power the iPad Pro at the same time. So I'm using MixBox as the effects for this jam. We're in apeMatrix, using Spatializer as well to make everything sound a little bigger. So in MixBox, a lot of the same effects that I've been using in the past for the Mellotron. Let me demonstrate the saxophone sounds we'll be using without effects, or at least without all the effects but the compressor. The compressor is just to even out the sound, control the peaks. Very light. I think my ratio here is 3:1, so I'm just going to leave that on. So this is the, I'll start with the two Saxes. So it's two saxophones. You know, with the Mellotron, the original tapes captured whatever was happening at that time with the player. If they played a bum note, if they were a little slow, a little fast, hitting things, the breath with the woodwinds. So when you put two of those together, it's even more interesting. So I'm just going to run through a few of these notes. You'll hear that the players are really in sync, but there's other times where somebody's coming in a little, a little later than the other player, but let me just demonstrate this. So you could hear on these two notes, they're a little out of sync, one after another. And here, someone's a little off, and then the pitch changes. But here they're totally in sync. It almost sounds like one sax. So that's the beauty of two saxes. Obviously, the more notes you play, you're not playing two saxes. You may be playing 4 or 8. But it's a really full and rich sound. All right, let me move to the alto sax. Again, just the compression. It's really low. I wonder if anyone out there plays alto sax. Is that realistic? Does it really get that low? I mean, it sounds smooth. It doesn't sound like different tapes, but anyways. So that's the alto sax. It's a really breathy recording. So they really must have had the mic close so you can hear it. And I can also hear some points in time where the players, using the keys on the sax, which have felt pads on them, and you can kind of hear those banging onto the sax too as they're playing. Definitely need headphones to hear that. So those are the two sax sounds. Let me turn on the effects. We're on the alto. Let's start with that. Essentially for all the jam and for both sounds, I'm going to use tape echo and plate reverb. So here's the tape echo with the alto sax. So in MixBox, the tape echo, you really are using 2 delays, and by having different times, different, what they call sustain, but which is really a feedback or the tails of the delay, you can get those rhythmic sounds. And of course, when you're playing legato, the tape echo acts as much as a reverb as anything else. But I want the sound to be really big, so we'll add in some plate reverb, only 25%, but it really, really opens it up. And I'm also going to use the phaser, perhaps at some points with the alto sax. So very subtle. I don't really have the rate that high, but it does add that movement, that kind of phasey swirl. Now let's go to the two saxes. I'm not going to use the phaser for that. Let me just start with the tape echo. You can really hear that tape echo, how the tails, the fidelity of the tails goes way down and gets really grainy. Let's add in the reverb. Sorry, my USB-C hub keeps falling off here. Let me try to reposition this a little. Okay, so two saxes with the compressor, the tape echo, and I just will add in the plate reverb now. Turn that off. So you can hear that plate reverb really makes the sound nice and wide. Those are the two sounds, and those are essentially the effects. I think what I'm going to do is start off with the alto sax. I just want to use as kind of like a solo instrument. The two saxes I will use as some kind of chordal intro. And then I'll have to transition to the alto sax. Let me just run through that. All right, that'll work, but the two saxes are really loud, so when I move to the alto sax, it's not coming through as much. Let me turn down the two saxes. Let me try that again. All right, I'll do something like that. So just to explain what I did there, on the last note of the two saxes, those intro chords, I held the sustain pedal down, and then right as I was going to hit another note, I flipped up the mix knob just to the alto sax. Now, in the first few notes, I just kind of slowly moved the volume up, so just to bring it up. Because the two saxes, I mean, it's two saxes to begin with, and then playing chords, it's more like eight saxophones. So really overpowering the alto sax, but that'll work. So let me get everything set up here, change the camera angle as well, and I will do a jam. I really like the sound of the saxophones on the Mellotron, actually all the different woodwinds. I think they do a good job of capturing the characteristics and the idiosyncrasies of the instrument, the player, the microphones, and the studio that the original tapes were recorded in. And I've said this a lot of times before, but you play a Mellotron because you like the sound of the Mellotron. I don't play a Mellotron because I want to get a very realistic alto sax sound. Sure, it is a bit realistic because it's a real recording of a real player. But if you want a real, if you're really going for authenticity, I mean, you should play an alto sax, but samples, modern samples are going to get you there a lot closer, probably a lot faster, and certainly a lot cheaper. So it's really what you want to do. I happen to like the Mellotron. I happen to like all the different kinds of sounds that you can get to it. I grew up with a lot of these sounds, and that's a big part of it too. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and good luck with your own music.